Hi there, Nathalie with you today with a new process video for Altenew. And today I want to share a fun idea on how to customize your own traveler's notebook covers using the new mixed media inks. So let's get started. Hello once again. Today I'm going to show you a fun idea using the mixed media inks. And my idea is I want to use the inks to customize a canvas traveler's notebook cover. And I have quite a few of them. And I had this idea because I just want to make it a one of a kind. So I'm going to put my mixed media inks. I'm going to put an ink blending tool, a few stencils, and the Beauty Within stamp, die, and the coloring stencil set. So to start with, I'm going to take out the traveler's notebook from the inside, and I'm going to take the elastic that holds the whole thing together. And these elastics that are there, because it's a pre-made traveler's notebook, is going to make it a little bit difficult to stamp along the center line. I'm going to show you as I go along. So my idea is I want to create a cluster of florals. So to do that, I'm actually going to bring the Beauty Within die set, and I'm going to go ahead and use it to cut a few of the flowers and leaves using masking paper. Once I have it, I'm actually gonna play with the idea where I'm gonna put everything, and I decided to just add 2 flowers and a big cluster of leaves at the bottom corner of the TA. And remember, it's a small format. And then I'm gonna bring one of the medium flowers, or the totally open flower, to the top part or just the front of the traveler's notebook. I am gonna add some detail towards the back of the cover, but I'm gonna focus on adding most of the detail at the front. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my masking paper in place. One of the things you had to keep in mind is when masking tape, you put it on canvas, it kind of collects the fiber of the canvas, so it becomes less sticky as you move it in and out. So just keep that in mind if you decide to do a project similar to this. So now that I have it in place, I'm actually going to start with Frayed leaf, a mixed media ink, and my ink blending tool. And my idea is I want to apply a light coat of the color just to cover especially the frame or the outside edge of my traveler's notebook. So I'm picking up a little bit of the ink with my ink blending tool, kind of dabbing it on my ink pad, and I'm going to go on a circular motion all along the frame of the traveler's notebook. You're gonna see that I'm gonna go a little bit heavy-handed, or a little bit more pressure around where the flower is gonna be seated. I just want to make sure that I create, or try to create, that shadow effect. Here's where you're gonna see that the center line of the traveler's notebook is hard to get like a nice crisp impression, just because I have the elastics at the back. I have those grommets, so it makes it a little bit harder to do that, but I'm gonna try my best. And again, I'm adding more pressure again as I'm going on a circular motion, trying to deposit the ink on my traveler's notebook cover. I'm gonna add more pressure around where I have the masking tape and towards the edges of the traveler's notebook. Think of it as creating a frame. So I'm gonna make sure that that's a little bit darker than the inside, and I'm gonna speed it up because I'm gonna go all around the traveler's notebook. And you're gonna see that I'm gonna speed up quite a bit of this video, just because I'm gonna do a lot of ink blending. So once I'm happy, and like I said, this is just my first coat. I just want to make sure that I have like a nice soft layer of green on the background, again accenting the perimeter of the traveler's notebook. I'm actually gonna go ahead and peel just the masking for the leaves. I want to add just a soft shading of green. I'm not gonna detail the leaf that much, but I want to have that, that white, kind of make it different from the background. That's why I added the masking tape at the beginning. Now that I'm gonna just add some green, and then I'm gonna go ahead and mask it again. I'm gonna put everything back, and I'm gonna start adding, think of it as art journaling. So I'm gonna start adding some more elements onto this background. I'm gonna start with the Floral Mandala stencil, and I'm gonna use the next color of the mixed media inks, which is on the green set is Forest Glades. It's just a darker shade, and I'm gonna make sure that the mandala impression impression is around where the flowers are gonna be seated, not right on it, just around it. So again, I'm picking up some of the ink, kind of dabbing my ink blending tool on the ink, and then I'm gonna go on a circular motion on top of the stencil so that I can create the impression and kind of move it in a circular motion. Now you're gonna see that wherever I land my ink blending tool, it creates kind of a circle. Think of it as a stamp, and here's where stamping in the middle, or sorry, creating impression in the central line of the TN was a little bit harder because of the elastics underneath. So just to help me kind of soften out that edge of the ink blending tool, I'm just gonna try to spread it, kind of pull the ink towards the center of the traveler's notebook, and in some areas that I couldn't, like, you know, kind of, you can still see the circles, I'm actually gonna come in with a little bit of frayed leaf. I'm gonna bring some extra ink and just trying to mix it, kind of blend the two colors together, and that's gonna soften those big circles of Forest Glades ink. So very simple. I'm gonna go ahead and you're gonna see I'm just applying the ink, kind of softening the edges. It helps a little bit, not much, but again, there's gonna be so much going on that you're barely gonna see that. I'm gonna make a second impression of the Floral Mandala stencil right at the top, more towards the back of the traveler's notebook. So again, I'm using frayed leaf. I'm gonna repeat the same procedure that I did on the first for the first impression, and again, I'm just gonna soften the edges. I'm gonna make sure that you can see the details. I'm okay if you don't get a crisp image. Like I said, this is just part of my background. Now, loving what that looks like, but I want to add a few pops of green, like a darker green. So for that, I'm using Evergreen, and I'm gonna use the Beauty Within stamp set. Comes with little branches. Look at the little buds. I'm gonna use some of those stamps just to create little branches coming off the floral clusters, and then also as if they're coming into the traveler's notebook. So I'm gonna stamp it around the edges of the TN cover. So once I'm happy, I'm not gonna overdo it. I just want a few just to give it a pop of that green. Once I'm happy with it, I'm actually gonna bring the Paint a Flower Calla Lily stamp set, which is one of the new ones that we just released, and there's a sentiment there that says grateful, and I love the sentiment. It's a beautiful handwriting, so I'm gonna use the grateful sentiment, and I'm gonna use Forest Glades, which is the second shade of green mixed media ink, just to stamp the word grateful in 3 parts on my traveler's notebook cover. I want to add a few more details, like really soft on the background, so I'm gonna bring the Teeny Hearts stencil, and I'm gonna bring the second family of colors, which is called Red Cosmos. I'm gonna bring the lightest ink, which is Frosty Pink, and again, I'm just gonna create the impression just around where I added that grateful stamping. I'm just gonna add a few pops of color there. Now I'm ready to, I want to make sure that that ink is completely set before I go on to the next part. Now to set the ink, especially when you work on canvas, you need to heat set it. So you're going to see that I'm just putting an old pillowcase on top of my traveler's notebook cover, and I'm gonna heat it with my iron. One of the things you're going to realize is that you kind of lose a bit of the color or the vibrancy of the ink, and that's just because it's drying onto the canvas, and that's what you want. That's going to make sure that nothing is going to run. Even if it gets wet, the ink won't run. So now that I'll set it aside for a little bit to cool off, and I'm gonna go ahead and start detailing the flowers. Now for this, I'm gonna use the Beauty Within simple coloring stencil, and you wanna get this stencil. This makes creating the flowers and detailing them a breeze. So I'm starting with Frosty Pink, and I'm gonna make sure that the top flower and the front of my TN starts with Frosty Pink. So I'm gonna go with the lighter shades of the inks. So first, the first layer is gonna be Frosty Pink, and then I'm going to start detailing with a bit of Coral Berry, and you're going to see that I brought one of my stencil brushes. It's just to help me bring those smaller details. I need to go with a smaller ink blending brush, and I know that a lot of you love the big blending brushes from Altenew, the big tool, and I love it too, one of my favorite ones. And I'm hoping they come with smaller ones, so that makes it so easier to add the, to kind of those details. So just I'm gonna continue, but the bottom cluster, I want to make sure that I add another color. So my choice was to go for a darker shade using the same ink. So instead of starting with Frosty Pink, I'm gonna start with Coral Berry, and so on. And then I'm just gonna, honestly, working with this stencil, it makes it so easy to add details like in a breeze, and like perfect details. So it makes the creating florals a breeze, like super easy. So I'm just adding the details, and I'm really happy what it looks like. And one of the things that I realize now is that I forgot to add the center of the flowers, and it actually comes in the stencil. So my mistake at the top and the top floral, I'm actually gonna go ahead and stamp it with the jet black mixed media ink. And once I stamped it, I realized that I did not add the center. So I'm gonna come in back again with the stencil set, and I'm gonna add my center using Frayed leaf, just because I want that soft green, and happy with that. Then I'm gonna actually, before I mess up the bottom one, I'm gonna add the Frayed leaf right to create the center of the floral, and I'm gonna go ahead and stamp it again with jet black. I want to have that black at the bottom just to kind of help me create the dimension and a little bit of depth onto my my cover. Now that I have that, before I detail the big flower, I'm gonna detail the leaves. So I'm gonna take out the masking for the leaves. I'm gonna use Evergreen ink, which is the darkest shade of green in the mixed media ink set, and I'm gonna use the big leaf cluster, and I'm gonna stamp it. Now here you're gonna see that I put my hand underneath and kind of push the traveler's notebook, and that's because those elastics makes it a little bit on an uneven surface. Now that that's ready, I have not set it, I'm just continually working. I'm gonna go ahead and detail the big flower. Again, I'm gonna start with Frosty Pink, then I'm gonna use a Coral Berry, and then I'm gonna finish with Ruby Red. I'm gonna add a Frayed leaf to create the center. But when it came to totally detailing or adding the outline of this flower, I chose not to use jet black. One, because I wanted, like I said, I wanted to add some dimension to this page, and I thought if I added jet black, it's just gonna make it a little bit dark. So instead, I'm gonna stamp the outline of the flower using Grapevine, which is the darkest color of mixed media ink in the Red Cosmos family, which is the one that is available right now. Now to finish this, I want to add a sentiment onto the cover. So I'm going to use the Watercolor Rose stamp set. I'm going to add the word believe, and I stamp it using jet black mixed media ink. And there's another sentiment that says believe I can, or believe in yourself, sorry. So I added the sentiment and same with the same ink. I'm gonna again bring my pillowcase and just heat set it with my iron. Super simple. All that's left to do is just slip back the elastic that's gonna hold everything in place. I'm gonna add my traveler's notebook, and I'm done. I love how this turned out. This was a fun hour. It was just fun having, that freedom to create and customize your own traveler's notebook cover. This is a one of a kind, and I'm sure that gives you a few more ideas of what you can do with these amazing inks and this beautiful stamp and stencil set. Don't forget to check it in the shop. Everything's gonna be linked in the comment section. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Take care, guys.
Hello crafters, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching.